The conference finals are finally underway, and it looks like the Spurs are going to be getting Wemby. We're going to talk about all that and more in another episode of. All right, we'll start with the Western Conference and Eastern Conference finals before we get into the draft lottery and all like the firings and free agency news. Denver and Lakers just had game two last night. By the time this video comes up, game two of Boston Miami will be over. But that game is tonight. We'll talk about Denver and the Lakers first. Nikola Jokic is just dominant. He has outplayed Anthony Davis. Jamal Murray has outplayed LeBron James.
Yeah.
And the two of them have been the more consistent superstars. And when you came into the series, or after game one, I thought it was funny because everyone's like, oh, they figured out the Nuggets. The Lakers role players didn't even play amazing. They'll come back next game and be better. And the Nuggets role players played out of their mind. I mean, that's the playoffs. Role players play good, role players play bad. But it comes down to who has the more consistent stars. And Jokic and Murray have been more consistent than Davis and LeBron all postseason.
Yeah, both Jamal Murray and the Nuggets coach Michael Malone talked about that after the game about how everyone was like really happy with the adjustments the Lakers made in the second half. And it was like Jokic just put up a 35-point triple double and nobody came close to guarding him. I know Hachimura was like okay and
Yeah.
Davis was good on the help in the second half or whatever, but he went off and nobody Hachimura is not going to be able to guard him for 7 games. And him
No,
and
it's
Jamal
not.
Murray just showed the
And
Lakers adjustments aren't gonna their game to game adjustments aren't gonna be enough.
right. And when you think about who's making the adjustments, Michael Malone or Darvin Ham, who would you rather have? I'd rather have Michael Malone. Michael Malone's a proven coach in this league. He's been a successful coach for years now. Darvin Ham has been a decent coach on a team that has Anthony Davis and LeBron James. Of course you're going to be a good team. You have those two players. But I mean, when we saw Anthony Davis have 40 points last game, if anyone actually thought that was more likely to happen again than Jokic get another 20-point triple double, then they were wrong. And we saw that's what happened. Davis had 18 on terrible
Yeah.
shooting, and Jokic put up 23, 17, and 12 or something. I mean, it's not like the Western Conference Finals in the bubble. Jokic is a much better player than he was then, which is saying something because he was really good back then. And he's clearly Anthony Davis is not having the same impact on Jokic that he did in the bubble that year, and it's showing.
And the Nuggets are a much different team than even the Warriors and the Grizzlies are in this playoff series. They are complete top to bottom. Their roster is really, really solid. And the
Right.
Lakers, I think that depth that everyone talks about that's so great with D'Angelo Russell and Dennis Schroeder and Austin Reeves and Lonnie Walker, it's not as good as Denver's Bruce Brown and their bench, Jeff Green. They're too good.
Right. And Denver really plays a 7-man rotation, maybe 8 with Christian Braun. They put him in occasionally for spot
Yeah.
minutes here and there. But their team is all the role players around Murray and Jokic are fantastic. Murray has been playing like he did in the bubble, which is huge for them.
Yeah.
And it's Denver is the best team the Lakers have faced. The Memphis Grizzlies were not a scary number 2 seed. They had all the drama during the regular season too leading up to that. The
No
Warriors
Stephen.
nowhere
Yeah.
near the same team they were last year, and we said that all season long. And Jordan Poole was nowhere to be found, and Wiggins can be coming off of the 2 months he took off. The Denver is the first complete team that is very talented. The Lakers have seen this entire playoffs, and it's showing because the Lakers are not on the level of Denver. I wish we had made this episode before the series started because I was going to come. I came into the series thinking Denver in 5, and now of course saying that after they go 2-0 doesn't sound as crazy. But I thought it was going to be Denver in 5 because they're just not on the same level. They have more consistent superstars than the Lakers do. And that's what it comes down to in the playoffs.
Yeah. It's Jokic's time. He's, in my opinion, I think yours too. He's the best player in the league. I mean, he can do anything on the basketball court. He shoots it. What is he shooting? 47% from three in the playoffs or some shit like that?
He was going into game one. I think he was. I
Like
don't know what it's like after, but I'm pretty sure he went 3 for
he
3
was
in
three
game.
for three, I think, or something.
Yeah,
Like
I don't know what
he's a
his.
center who's the best passer in the league, shooting 47% from three. And is like the defense, which was everyone's big knock on him. I don't think it's been as noticeable as it has in previous playoff runs. I
Yeah,
think the Nuggets have done a good job sort of
hiding him.
hiding him.
Yep, and
Yeah.
they hide him very well because he impacts. He's not a rim protector, but at least he's a body in the paint. And
Body.
Jokic yesterday was 0 of 3 from 3, which will bring his percentage down for the series. But I think game one, I'll check it right now. I think he went 2 for 3 or something. Yeah,
Yeah, and
game 1 was 3 for 3 from 3. So
the
I mean,
3-point
it's
game is
been
not the biggest threat either. It's his
no,
passing and
which is
his
scary because when he wants to score, he'll give you 40, and when he doesn't want to score, he'll just have a nice solid 20-point triple double. So
yeah, and he'd
it's
rather
very
not.
hard to
He'd
guard.
rather
I
not put up
think
40.
well, I agree with you that he's the best player in the world right now. That will change this time next year because every playoffs, it's a new best player in the world.
Yeah,
Which is
recency
like
bias is
I
tough.
think Giannis was the best player in the world for 2 years. We didn't knock him last year because he didn't have Middleton. This year you have to knock him off the pedestal because I understand he was injured for part of it, but you can't lose the first round series of the 8th seed and still be called the best player in the world. And you were available for two of those games really, and really could have won both those games he was playing. Embiid shit the bed. He's out.
Yeah,
And
I mean, and in those
Curry
games he showed
lost.
like pure
Luka didn't even
deficiency.
make the playoffs. I mean, I think Jokic,
Mhm.
especially if he wins the finals. I mean, Jimmy Butler should be a top 10 player, and we'll talk about that right now. But I do think Jokic, when the playoffs are all said and done, will be ranked number one in the league for most people going into next season.
Yeah,
For the
I
others,
agree with that as well.
yeah, other series though, 1-0. I mean, every time you think that Miami's magical run is
I
over and
know.
that they really found their match, they come out and win. And this series, I think, is just going to be like the Milwaukee Bucks series, where I think Miami should lose this series in 5 or 6 games, but they may win this series in 7 or 6. Like, who fucking knows? Jimmy Butler could have 50 tonight. I don't know. Or he'll have 25 and he'll get 12 assists. Like, I don't know you never know what
It
he's going to
doesn't
get,
even matter.
but
That
it's going
game
to be
one,
good.
the fact that they won game one in Boston is
After being,
massive
and it looked like it
for
was going to
them.
be a blowout. I think Boston came out in the beginning of the
Yeah.
second half, got up like 12 or something, or maybe more. And then Miami just came back. And Joe Mazzulla, you need to call a timeout. If a team scores 46
Mhm.
points on you in the third quarter and you do not call a single timeout, that's on you. And then in the post game, he had the audacity to say, "Oh, we outplayed him for the 3 other quarters." You did. Congrats. You still lost the fucking game. What does that have to do with the fact that you didn't call a timeout when Miami was clearly just handing it to you?
Yeah, I mean he's had some questionable
Very questionable.
timeout slash non-timeout calls throughout this whole playoff run. He's been letting that team play, and it has come back to bite him a couple times already. But Miami's the way less talented team who just plays team basketball. Jimmy Butler's drive, draw help, pump fake, draw foul, or dish out for an extra pass and then wide open three that they're smacking because they're shooting like 75%,
Yeah,
which
you
is
can't double Jimmy. The minute you send a double to him, Caleb Martin, Max Strus, Kyle Lowry, Duncan Robinson, and I don't know when Tyler Hero's coming back, but if he's back at some point,
they'll be ready.
I mean, all those guys can shoot. And I know they
Mhm.
didn't shoot well in the regular season, which is why teams are like, wow, this is crazy, but it really isn't. This is the Miami team we saw last year. All these guys have been able to shoot in the past and can continue to shoot. They're just finally knocking down shots.
Like
So
you knew going into the playoffs that Jimmy Butler is not a 20 point per game scorer like he showed all season. That is not him. He is a 30-point per game scorer still.
and I
And
don't
he's
know why
showing.
people have to keep being reminded of this. I mean,
Yeah.
you and I know this because I mean, watching him in the Bulls, we know what he can do. But this has been the theme for most years. He had one fluke against the Bucks that one year where they lost in 4 games. But outside of
And
that,
people were like, what happened? Like he
people were
scored
like,
like
"Oh, the bubble
15 a
was." People
game
thought
or
like the bubble was the fluke for him, but
yeah,
that was the fluke. The one bad series was the fluke, and that's rare to say about players. Where his bad series was the fluke. Usually, it's like, wow, he had that like crazy run, that was it.
right.
But that's Jimmy. And I mean, if you're from Boston side of things, I'd be so annoyed as a Boston fan because you are much better than every team in the Eastern Conference. And to be honest, aside from Denver, you're better than all the other teams left. And I still think they're better than Denver. And you
The
see that in
most
some games. In game 7, for example, when Tatum went nuts, you saw that against Philly. And you've seen that on plenty of other games this postseason. And then there's games where they just look like they don't know how to play basketball anymore.
yeah, exactly. The
And the
most
inconsistency is just
frustrating
terrible.
part.
Because
The
last
most
year,
frustrating part is that they're better, like their roster is better than it was last year, and they don't play like it like a lot of the time, which is so weird. And I don't know how much of that has to do with Ime Udoka not being there and Joe Mazzulla being there instead,
that's
but Malcolm Brogdon is very, very good. Derek White, who you got at the deadline,
has
was
been
he
better
all
this year.
defensive team?
Yeah, he's been better this
Yeah,
year. I
he's
mean, Tatum and
really, really
Brown were
good as
both
well.
all
You can
NBA
start either of
players.
them. They were starting him over Robert Williams. That's how good Derek White is. And they're not as good as they don't look as good as they were last year. Like, and it's
No, they
they were
don't.
steamrolling teams last year.
Right, exactly.
and
They
they're
were
not really
consistent
that
last
good.
year. They were consistently by far better than everyone else until they got to later rounds because they just weren't as because those teams got better.
Yeah. And
But they're just not that
like
team.
they should have lost to Philly in 6. They
They
should have
should have.
lost.
Philly, I mean, Joel, that's why Joel Embiid looked so bad in that series because that series they should have won. You had two chances in game 6 and 7, and Embiid just played terrible in both. He just let it slip out in both.
Yeah, like everybody wanted to just shit on the Celtics for how bad they've been playing, but they couldn't because Embiid
Because Embiid was
played worse.
worse. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, and Harden
So they were
and
like, all right, Embiid, I mean, we're going to come at you because you just won MVP and had the Celtics in your hand and couldn't finish it.
I mean, and that's a good segue, I guess, into the next topics like free agency stuff because James Harden opted out after his abysmal
Yep.
playoff run. The man
And
got Doc
Doc's
Rivers
gone.
fired. He opted
Yep.
out, and to be honest, I would not be shocked if he leaves to go back to Houston. I would because I saw something today that says James Harden strongly considering going back to Houston.
I saw Phoenix. I
I saw
saw
Phoenix.
76ers are still in the mix. Do you think
I,
James Harden's good?
do I think he is good? And if he on Houston, he doesn't make much of a difference anymore. He makes them 10 wins better, probably.
Where are they going with him?
Right.
You're
He
gonna
makes
pay
them
him
10
what,
wins. He
40
probably makes
million
them
for
10 to 15 wins better, but he gets more money. I don't know why Houston would pay him that money, but I mean, what the fuck do I know? Uh and then on Phoenix side of things, I could see it, but they expect Chris Paul to be there. Maybe they do
I
a
saw that,
trade.
yeah.
But I mean, I don't. If you're Philly, you're gonna want more than just Chris Paul back for James Harden, because as bad as James was in the playoffs, he also showed signs of still being the same James Harden. So
Yeah.
he's gonna get. He wasn't as bad in these playoffs as he's been in the past, but in the clutch time he was terrible. But he's gonna go to a team that is. I mean, he wants to win, I think. But if he really wanted to win, I don't know why Houston would even be on his radar, unless there's something else going on that we don't know about, and they expect to get another star there.
Yeah, maybe it's that. Maybe the strip clubs are just like super
I
nice
mean,
down there and he's
they
just
gotta be.
used
I
to it.
mean, they've been
It
calling him
could be
back since
that.
he left. I think he's wanted
It
to go
could
back
be
since he
that.
left.
They a lot of them have really high reviews out there, so I'm sure he's missing it. So yeah, maybe I mean if they're gonna pay him 40 million and the strip clubs are nicer out there than they are in Philly, why wouldn't he go there? He doesn't give a fuck about winning anyway.
No, he doesn't care. At this point in his career, he doesn't care. He's
He doesn't care at all.
he's
Doesn't
tired of
care at
And
all.
Joel Embiid doesn't care about winning either. For anyone that thinks he does, he just cares about his fucking
Oh,
stats. He complained about the MVP all
did
fucking
you
season long. He has no interest in winning basketball games because if that was true, the team would look drastically different. If he cared about winning
bro, bro,
basketball
bro, bro,
games,
bro,
he would
bro.
have fought
Was
much harder for Jimmy Butler to still be on that team.
did you see his tweet about how him and James Harden like needed more help and they couldn't do it all by themselves?
Yeah, in the post game conference, he said that it can't just be me and James. He's like, I gotta be better. James has,
Yeah.
but it can't just be me and him out there, dude. PJ Tucker scored more points than James Harden, and Tobias
PJ
Harris
Tucker
had more
won
points
them a
than Wemby.
game, got up in
How?
your fucking grill and was like, you're the MVP. Nobody can guard you. Fucking score the ball. And
But
he
what if we
still
Joel
didn't.
Embiid does not know how to handle a double team, which is why
Maxey
Nikola
had
Jokic
30 in
is
multiple games.
drastically. Nikola Jokic is much better. I don't want to even have Joel Embiid and Nikola Jokic in the same conversation anymore. Anthony Davis is closer to Nikola Jokic than Joel Embiid is. Because Joel Embiid does not know in the playoffs. When it comes to the playoffs, Graham, Joel Embiid has been doubled every season of his career. And in the playoffs, he has no idea how to handle double. The mark of a great player is realizing your flaws and being able to adjust them and making them a strength. Joel Embiid doesn't know how to pass out of a double team. He was
Yeah.
he had
And
no idea what to do when teams made adjustments on him. He had no, and part of that is Doc Rivers not coaching.
Horford put the clamps on his
Horford
ass.
clamped
Horford
him.
clamped.
Brooklyn also did a fantastic job on him. They were just much better than Brooklyn, but Brooklyn gave him fits. He was so annoyed that he was kicking Nicholas Claxton in the dick. I mean, he was so upset
Dude,
and just frustrated. And he's not in the same conversation as Jokic because Jokic knows how to actually pass out of a double team, run an
exactly.
offense,
He's the best
and
in the
score.
league at it.
So
Another thing, I saw something. So Horford used to clamp up Joel Embiid when he was on Boston like 5 years ago or whatever.
yeah,
Then Philly's like, fuck, I don't want to play that man in the playoffs anymore. So they give him way too much money. Remember that? They gave
Way
him
too
like
much money.
$25 million for like 4 years. Way
It
too
was
much money. And he was shit
terrible.
for that. He was so bad. They trade him to OKC, balls out for OKC. OKC trades him for a first round pick back to Boston,
And he's
and he
great
starts clamping Joel Embiid again
again. It's he's
for
just
less money.
yeah, Joel Embiid's gonna have to prove something to me next year because this year his MVP seems like it should get taken away. But as far as Harden goes, I mean, let's talk about the Doc Rivers firing because this goes into the Monty Williams
Yeah.
and Mike Budenholzer firing. I think you and I both agreed Budenholzer was never that great of a coach. He got saved by Milwaukee
Mm-mm.
when he got 2021
Yeah.
championship.
He should
He
have been
got saved
fired.
by that. If you get a good coach in there, like you get like a Monty Williams to go coach that team, I think they're much better. Monty Williams firing, I understood it, but again, he's a great coach. But this goes to show in today's league, just because you're successful in winning games, there's a certain level and benchmark you have to meet, and if you don't meet
An
it, you're going to get
expectation.
fired.
Yeah.
The league is no
Like
longer
the,
take 15 years to build around your team, build like a culture with the same core group of guys. It's not like that anymore. Too many players can go.
yeah.
Two players have a lot of power nowadays that really can dictate which teams are good, how
Yeah.
long they're good for, and impacts coaches. And Monty Williams is just not. He was a great coach, not just didn't meet the fucking benchmark that was set for him.
Yeah. I think I said they had the three best records in the league over the last 3 seasons, and they all just got fired. And probably all for very good reasons. I mean, you can't lose as a 1 seed to an 8 seed.
Five games,
Your ass should get fired for that. Get out of
especially in
here.
5 games. You're
Like Giannis, no Giannis. I don't care if they didn't have Giannis for the whole series. They should have won the series.
I
The
100%
Bulls
agree.
were 3 minutes away from beating the Heat. We were up three with 3 minutes to go. How the fuck are they up 1-0 in the conference finals?
Yeah.
I don't get
Makes
it.
us look better though. Makes our loss look a lot better.
Yeah,
Which
no, it does. It does.
which
But that's
also is
whatever.
worrying me because I think making this loss look better is going to impact how our general managers think. We can talk about that later in the episode. Uh,
Yeah.
but
Stick around if you want to hear shit on
there's
the
some
Bulls.
real issues going on in Chicago right now. But yeah, you're right. These three guys all were
Yeah, Monty Williams too. You trade for Kevin Durant at the deadline. The expectation is not a second round exit. You got to go farther than that. So I could see them firing him, and then Doc Rivers has a big history of choking leads. He got bailed out by Boston 1 year, just like Budenholzer got bailed out by Giannis. He got bailed out and won a title 1 year and has been
yeah,
choking ever since for a decade plus ever since then.
right.
Get his ass out.
And that
Get somebody
takes
else in
us.
there. And I could see all of them switching. I could see Doc going to Phoenix. I could see Monty going to either of those two teams.
I think
And I
Monty
don't know
may end
about
up in.
Bud,
I
but
would
I'm sure
not be
he'll be a
shocked
head
if
coach.
Monty ends up in Milwaukee or Philly. That would not shock me at all. I also
Yeah.
would not shock me if
And I
D'Antoni
heard,
ends up in Philly to keep James Harden happy. But I mean,
who did
what's
I?
that say about Billy Donovan though, Grant? Like what the fact that Billy Donovan's still the head coach of the Bulls, and these three guys who are 10 times the coach that Billy Donovan is, in my opinion, these guys are gone. What does it mean for Billy Donovan? Because if the Bulls'
Well, even to
expectation is
the,
the ninth seed or 10th seed in the first round exit, then Billy Donovan's doing a hell of a job. But if that's the expectations for your team, then I would like to reconsider what team I like and what team I root for.
yeah, to the average Bulls fans eye, if you've watched, I don't know, 10 Bulls games this year, all you had to do was watch 10. You could tell that Billy Donovan fucking sucks as a coach. All right, that's a little
I mean,
harsh.
if you watch 10 close games and watch the lack of adjustments he made, the
It's
inability to get the
it's
ball
it's
in
like
bounds at the end of
obvious. Like
games.
we're like, why isn't Patrick Williams in the game? Why is Patrick Beverly in the game guarding a guy who's 6'7"?
I mean, yeah,
He can't do
the regular season
everything.
games against the Toronto Raptors, where Patrick Beverly, Alex Caruso, and Zach LaVine and DeMar DeRozan are on the court, while Toronto has 5, 6, 8 guys who are taller on the court.
Yeah, so the Bulls, and it's not even like those adjustments are bad, and like he can't call timeout at the right time, and playing guys like Goran Dragic for like the first
He loves his old
40,
veterans, man. He loves his
40,
veterans.
50 games of the year, and then waving the fuck out of them. We got nothing out of that. He didn't do anything for us. We just drafted a guy at number 15 who didn't get a second all year, plays the same position. And this
I
man,
mean,
Goran
right.
Dragic, is 36 years old, sucking on the court. They waived him.
Yeah. I mean, this like we had. I like the Dalen Terry point. You're gonna the one pick that we have in the last 3 years is Dalen Terry because the other two went to Orlando. You don't play him at all. You're telling me that you wouldn't want to play Dalen Terry at all over fucking Goran Dragic to begin the season, or when people got hurt, you didn't want to play Dalen Terry at all. 6 minutes here and there was all he got. I mean, you drafted him at 16. This is a possible point guard of the future. He's 6'7", can defend, has good vision on the court. Play the guy.
He looks
Worst case
solid when he's
scenario
in. I
is
mean, like he looks little, but
I
I
mean,
don't really care.
you're telling me
Like,
Io was giving us more production than Dalen Terry would have given us? No,
no,
not at all.
no. He was bad.
So
I had a really bad season.
yeah, the Bulls in general had a terrible season, and I mean, we since we're talking about our draft picks and the fact that they got to Orlando, let's talk about the draft lottery because the most anticipated prospect since LeBron is going to be a San Antonio Spur, which is great for the Spurs. Good Popovich. I mean, they're building a nice young core there. You got Devin Vassell, Kellen Johnson, Scoot Henderson. I mean, if Charlotte's smart, them having LaMelo should not stop them from drafting Scoot.
Get
Brandon
LaMelo
Miller,
out.
And then I think the 3, 4, and 5 could go either way, but it's going to be Brandon Miller and the two Thompson twins. It's going to be those three. I don't know which order.
Yeah, there's somebody else in there too, like Cameron Whitmore or
Cameron
something.
Whitmore
But
is
yeah, those are
possible.
like
It depends if the Pistons start drafting for fit or start drafting for best talent. Same thing with the Rockets.
they do not need another guard.
No, they don't.
Interesting point. I think San Antonio, yeah, shout out to Spurs fans. You guys got lucky as shit. Again, the tank paid off. That's so awesome. Also, fun fact, the San Antonio Spurs had the Bulls first round pick in 2025, top 10 protected. How? DeMar.
Bro, I mean, we don't have
So
anything.
bad.
We have one pick next year, I believe. That's our 2024 pick, one pick. Great. We're
And we'll
not
be mid. We'll be
right. Our
14th
top
pick,
25,
eleventh
we won't
I'm
get
kidding.
that we won't get that pick in 25 because we're not going to be a bottom 10 team because the Bulls front office wants to continue to be average. I don't know why we want to be average.
Generational draft class, we'd rather have a 33-year-old center.
It's okay though. I mean, oh my god.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool.
Okay, actually, we can talk about the Bulls. Let's talk
All right,
about
yeah, yeah,
the
yeah.
Bulls right
Shout
now.
out to
Here we go.
Spurs.
We a couple of days ago, I don't know, maybe a week ago, whatever the fuck it was. It says that the GMs, the front office of the Bulls, is split between running it back with the same squad that we have now,
We not talk about any
or
of this. Damn.
changing shit up. Why? Why do we want to keep this team? Who in their right mind has looked at this season and said, "Oh yeah, I liked how this one went. Let's wait for Lonzo, who, by the way, will not play next year."
That
So if Lonzo Ball's not going to play next year, last time I checked, DeMar DeRozan's contract ends after next year, and Lonzo Ball's contract
out.
ends after the next year. So you're telling me you not only want to re-sign Vooch this year, you want to re-sign DeMar the next year, and wait for Lonzo Ball to come back from an injury that no one has lasted more than like 20 games coming back from. You want to put all your chips in that that way. That's what you want to do? We'll put all your eggs in that basket? That's what why? Why? I'm at a loss of words. I don't know why. I was thinking, and I still don't understand why. Who would think that way?
I'll tell you. I
Who?
will. Jerry Reinsdorf,
That cheap
motherfucker.
motherfucker in the cheap owner that we have. This billionaire who is too cheap. Because you know what? Because Bulls fans, you know why he's so fucking cheap? Because we keep buying fucking tickets to go watch this shitty ass team play.
Don't go anymore. Don't go
Don't
to
go,
Sox games. I'm done. I'm done
I'm
going to
not going
Sox.
to, no. I didn't go to a game last year. I'm not going to go to a game this year. And our
I
two
won't watch
tickets,
that trash. I'll
the
watch it
problem
from home.
is, the problem is in Chicago, there's always going to be people by the game. Because if it's not the basketball fans that are going, it's going to be the people that just go because it's a Bulls
Yeah,
game, because
and
Chicago
we
has
love.
people in the city. I mean, that's the one downside
He's
of this
just.
big market
He's.
team is we're a big market. People are going to go watch us play.
Regardless,
They're going to watch us lose, but they're going to watch us play.
we're always top two in attendance. We were second in attendance this year, and we were the 11th seed. It was one of the most depressing years I've watched as a Bulls fan. overall in a while. Like I'd rather watch those Markin and Wendell Carter development years than what I saw this year. It was some hot trash because there were some actual like expectations. We were supposed to be a 4, 5, 6 seed, and we just were never close to that good all year.
Oh
And we were
God,
like waiting for Lonzo, and now you want us to wait
year and
another year for him? Dude, they came out and said he probably won't play next season at all. They already said that. So you want to still wait on that? He's going to be a fucking free agent the year after that.
yeah, and also
He's
for
going to
those
be
that say
26 and he's going to have played 1 year off a fucking horrible injury that two players have tried to come back for and retired because they never thought they would be able to walk again.
after a
You
history
want to
of
wait on
previous,
that
after a history
as
of
an
previous
NBA,
years in
as the
recent
third
years.
biggest franchise in the NBA. You want to wait on that type of guy. We traded 2 seconds for him and we pay him $20 million. Why do we have to just throw everything at that and be like, yes, we cannot move on as a team until he comes back and he's healthy? What the fuck? It's been 3 years. It's been 2 years already, and you want us to wait another year and a half for that? That's horrible.
I respected
That's
all the moves
depressing.
that we made going into last season. So the summer going into last season when we getting Alonzo and DeMar, you and I both respected the moves. Clearly, we wanted to try and win, and it was working. And then Alonzo got hurt. I totally agree with AK and Mark Eversley and with the rest of the front office. It is really unfortunate that Alonzo Ball got hurt because the team was working up until then, but it's not working anymore. And unfortunately for Alonzo, he's not going to come back and it's not going to end up working again. So this is now time to make moves because you came in and preached continuity, and continuity got us the 10 seed. And you want to talk all this about developing young guys. You can't develop Patrick Williams with DeMar DeRozan plays 35 minutes a game and takes 20 shots. I'm sorry. Patrick Williams will not develop with DeMar DeRozan on this team. You've seen flashes from Kobe White. If you want to make Zach LaVine a number one guy, go ahead. But the way this team moves forward is at least doing a semi-rebuild, which means you trade DeMar DeRozan. You do what you can in this draft to trade up. This is one of the best drafts that we've seen in how long? 2003? You trade up. This draft has 3 to 5 guys that would go number one in previous drafts.
Yeah, they do. Five of them probably. Four, yeah. Five
So
guys would have gone number one last year in this draft, probably.
right. So with that being said, this is a draft where you try to trade up. You do anything in your power to trade up. You have assets. This team is not short with assets. You have Zach LaVine, you have DeMar DeRozan, and you have Nikola Vucevic. 3 all-stars that if you put on a team like Portland, you put to trade to Phoenix, you can rebuild or revamp the roster. And maybe they don't want to rebuild. Fine. You can at least retool the roster. Send Vooch to Phoenix for DeAndre Ayton. The Bulls apparently are reported to be a suitor for DeAndre Ayton. Go get younger. At least with that move, you're pretty much replacing an average center for an average center, but at least you're getting younger. Because
Somehow I would like be in love with that. And I fucking hate DeAndre Ayton.
yeah, and go out, get a point guard. You don't need to get a top 10 point guard. You don't even need a top 20 point guard. Get a top 40 point guard in the league that knows how to run an offense, that knows how to get Zach LaVine in his spots. Because we saw with a guy like Pat Bev, Zach LaVine can still be very good if you can get a guy to orchestrate the offense for him. That's why he was so good with Lonzo. He will be that good because he's healthy now too, with just an average point guard. It is not hard to go out. We saw AK work magic to get DeMar. Did we think we were ever going to get DeMar DeRozan that year? No. But we did. Alex Caruso was a surprise. I mean, we've made moves that no one thought we would make, and we got a good team. So clearly, AK can do it. You have to go out and do it, though. I'm not. If we're going to be mediocre, I don't want to watch this team be mediocre again. I know this doesn't work. Let's try something new.
Yeah, we were one of two teams who didn't make a move at the deadline this year, right?
Yeah.
Uh, and last offseason we signed just Andre Drummond and Goran Dragic, who we waived, and Andre Drummond will be gone because he's fucking ass. We extended our coach.
So we didn't know about that.
We
We didn't know about that extension.
we didn't know till midseason. We didn't know till midseason. We extended our president of basketball operations for doing nothing. But that's normal because we saw fucking John Paxson get extended forever. So And he was worse.
He was.
So I don't even want to complain about Arturas because Paxson was so much worse. But and that we still like a lot of this isn't on Arturas. Like the continuity is hard to build when your point guard gets injured and your fourth round pick misses most of the first
Right.
season
And
or
I
fourth
know,
overall.
and I know we were in a tough position this year, but that's fine. And you didn't want to make moves, fine. But you and I both said that if we have the same team going into next season, then there's a problem. You have the ability to make moves this offseason. You do.
Like who is half of the organization that watched this team for 82 games, 83, and was like, we can get better. We
I mean,
can
you can't get
get
better.
this same roster is not an 11 seed. They're a 4 seed. Fuck no, they're not. No, they're not.
This same roster needs a lot of changes before they're a 4 seed. The first one is DeMar DeRozan shouldn't be on the team. The second one is we
We're the
need
worst
a point guard.
shooting team
The
in the
third
league.
one is can we play our fourth overall pick? Please, can he not come off the bench? I understood the move by Billy Donovan during the
For
season.
Patrick Beverly. For Patrick Beverly, who we picked up at the trade deadline and immediately inserted him into the starting lineup. He's 33. He's horrible. Like he's good, but like
I
fuck,
right,
you
and I
know,
don't
like
want to
he's
make it
not
sound
that
like
good.
there's. I don't want to make it sound like we hate Pat because we loved what Pat did for the team. He brought us an identity and energy, and the team was better with him on it. But your number 4 overall pick
Yes.
from 3 years ago should not be coming off the bench. If he's supposed to be a cornerstone of your franchise, he should be starting at this point. Billy Donovan, that's on you. He should be starting at this point in his career. And can we get some shots for him? Can he not only start but be a
What
part of the
message are you
offense? Can
sending
he
the
be a
man?
part of
Like
the offense? Because we don't have a pick anyway. I mean, do we even want to pick? Because if this is what we do with our top picks, maybe we don't want to pick. For all we know, if we got Wemby, maybe Wemby wouldn't. We wouldn't even take Wemby. What the fuck do I know? Maybe
this is
Wemby
the
wouldn't
same
play.
guy who drafted Jokic in the second round for Denver. Where the fuck is that for us, man?
Oh, you know what? It wouldn't even
Uh,
matter. It wouldn't even matter this year because we didn't even have our second round pick this year.
nope. Is that going to San Antonio or New
It's going
Orleans
somewhere.
or
It's not going to Chicago though.
Orlando or could be anywhere.
I am very concerned that we'll be making a video in mid-July after the free agency stuff has settled down, and the Bulls team is going to be the exact same. I hope I'm wrong. I really hope we're talking about a new look Bulls team or a possibility of a new look Bulls team with like trades circulating around us. But I am very confident that that will not be the case. No, the team has
Yeah,
shown me nothing to make me believe otherwise.
I am totally on board for anything. Something's gotta change. Something's
Something
gotta
new.
get
I'm
something's
on board
gotta
for
get
something new.
it's gotta be DeMar, it's gotta be Vooch, it has to be Levine.
If you
Fuck it.
trade
If you love
Billy, trade
DeMar so much,
Levine,
keep him, trade Levine. I don't care. Just get something for them. They gotta go. It was so bad that even the offense between Levine and DeMar was bad. It was not
Yeah,
good.
it,
We
it was
couldn't
terrible. I
get
mean, there and then
involved.
the only positive thing I've
DeMar's a
seen is
black
that they
hole.
want to, huh?
I was saying we couldn't get Vooch involved. DeMar's a black
No.
hole. Levine is a black hole sometimes. It's just bad basketball. Billy's like, yeah, we don't have any plays in the book. And our number 4 overall pick, who leads the team in 3-point percentage, yeah, he takes 5 shots a game.
His isolation defense, by the way, is top in the league. So not only
He
is he
will.
one of the best, he is one of the better defenders. Maybe he is a top 25 defender in the league, in my opinion.
I did not know that.
And he has improved his shot. His shot is much quicker. He's improved his bag is deeper than it was. He has the capacity to be good, but if you're not going to make him a focal part of the offense, he's not going to shoot more than 8 shots a game, and he's going to come off the bench, then you might as well throw his career away.
Where is Patrick Beverly on that fucking list? The ISO defense list. Is he top 5? Because he better be if
I
you're
would hope
starting
so.
him over Patrick
I
Williams.
really hope so. I really hope that he's top 5. He's starting over Patrick Williams.
Patrick Williams is top what? Top 20? Top 25?
And in Billy's mind, the problem is DeMar and Patrick Williams don't really play well on the court at the same time because Patrick Williams isn't involved at all. That's on you, Billy. Figure out how to get them involved, or stop riding DeMar's cock and let P. Will play.
DeMar, it's DeMar's. It is Billy's fault. It's Billy's fault because Billy doesn't call any plays for him. Anything. No action for this man at all. Let him bring the ball up if you have to. Because Who's bringing the ball up now? Io? He's trash.
He is
Like,
trash.
give it to Patrick Williams.
This team is trash.
But it is a lot of it's on DeMar DeRozan. I mean,
A lot of it is.
it's a
He needs to
complete
change the way he fucking
black
plays. If he
hole. I mean,
doesn't,
what else? Patrick Williams is, if he is really a top 25 isolation defender who's shooting over 40% from three, that's a franchise piece. That's a Mikal Bridges at minimum type piece. If he's doing that, that is Mikal Bridges, a young Mikal Bridges. Mikal Bridges has obviously added way more to his game, especially since going to Brooklyn. But Patrick Williams
Patrick
is
Williams has the
21
same
years
fucking
old.
capacity to do these things. And I understand we've been
He's
waiting on him,
21.
but at some point, the team also has to put him in a position to be that way. Patrick Williams has had the similar. I mean, the Bulls have not had the same success as the Suns have had, but he's in a similar situation McCall was in. There are other guys on the team that needed more shots than he did, so he didn't have. His offensive load was diminished, but his defense, and he was always part of the team. Monty Williams did a good job of making him involved when he needed to be, and he was always ready to play. He goes to a situation on
Never
his
missed a
own.
game,
He still
led the
like
team in
he
minutes.
still developed. He still developed his game in Phoenix, and when he got the chance to be the number one guy, it showed. So for Patrick Williams,
Look
can
at
he at least get the opportunity to be like a number two option? He's number four on this team right now. Can we make him the two option, please? Or if we're not going to use him as a number two option, and we're actually going to make Vooch involved, and Vooch is going to be the number two option because let's assume DeMar leaves or is gone. Are we actually going to use Vooch, or is Vooch just going to be a dummy on the court? Is he just going to be like a cone for like just dummy in the play? He's going to be because that's what you use him as, right?
I
Use
I
him as
have I don't
a
know if it's that I've seen enough from Patrick Williams or it's that I haven't seen enough from the rest of the guys, but I'm totally fine. I would trade everybody else on the team except this man and build around him. I don't see anyone there as a long term. I mean, Zach LaVine could be. He can be your guy if you really want him to be.
If you want to keep Zach, fine. But if we're the only players I want to see on this roster next year are Patrick Williams and Kobe White. If Zach LaVine is here, I'm happy. That's fine. I don't hate Zach at all. But DeMar needs to go.
I'd like Kobe walk. If a team gives Kobe too much money, you're too
That's true. If a
streaky
team gives him, but
and
if
you're
we can
too
re-sign him, I
slow.
think we should. We saw improvement, and I think he can still get better. So if we can re-sign him and he wants to come back, we will. If some team like the New York Knicks decides, hey, we're going to give you $20 million a year, then go. I mean, I'm sorry, I'm not paying you $20 million a year.
If a team like the New York Knicks offers him 15 and you threaten to match it, and so they're like, all right, you drop
15 is the
that and
max.
we'll throw in a first round pick. Give me him. He's
Yeah, or
gone. He's
I'll
gone.
take any
I'm
pick.
not paying him $15 million. No way.
The team,
No shot.
our team needs to re-establish assets. We don't have any assets. So, however you want to go about getting picks for the future and getting younger guys, go ahead and do it. But get DeMar DeRozan out of here. Get Nikola Vucevic. I don't want Vooch back on the team. I would like us to sign and trade him. If some team signs him for $25 million a year, let the man walk. He's not worth that. They're going to realize that. Whatever team pays him that much money will realize that as soon as he gets there.
There are
Vooch is worth $18 million in today's league.
name me a franchise in a worse spot than the Bulls.
Let me scroll through the list.
I'd
The
rather
only
be
one
in
that comes to mind. The
Toronto's
only one that
spot.
comes to mind is Atlanta. The only one that comes to mind is Atlanta.
Atlanta's in a bad spot. They're in a bad spot.
They're with
They
us.
I'd trade Zach LaVine for Trae Young in a heartbeat.
But Milwaukee, better position. Boston better, Philly better, Cleveland much better. New York is looking like they're on the rise. Brooklyn looks better because they have all the young pieces. Atlanta and us look pretty bad. Miami looks fine. Toronto, I understand Toronto is disappointing, but Toronto has a lot of pieces and they have decisions to make this offseason. But they have Pascal Siakam and better young pieces and more picks than the Bulls do. They're in a better position. Indiana, much better position. Washington is just like us.
Washington's ass.
Orlando looks much better. Charlotte looks much better. Detroit looks much better because they have up and coming young pieces. The top 6 teams in the West look better than us. The Lakers, Minnesota looks pretty bad to be honest.
Yeah.
OKC
Give me
looks
Ant
great.
all
New
day.
Orleans looks great if they can stay healthy. I think Dallas will be fine once Dallas can fill out the rest of the roster. Utah looks like they have a better future. Portland has a better future. They had the third pick this year. Houston has a better future. And San Antonio just got Wembanyama.
Sure.
So I named 2 teams aside from us that are in
Washington for sure. They're horrid.
No,
They're
and Atlanta. And
I
Atlanta is not
can't
worse than
imagine
us.
being the Wizards
Atlanta's in
fan.
the same boat as us. But Washington, us, and Atlanta are probably the three teams in the league in the worst position. But if you're Washington, at least you have future picks, and you can turn it around a lot quicker than the Bulls can, because the Bulls don't start owning all their picks.
People have had a clear vision for Washington for a while. Like, get Bradley Beal out of there and restart.
Yeah, I mean, we've been saying that for a while, but they just keep giving him more money.
But for
So
the Bulls, like
Bradley
it's
Beal
like,
is just fleecing that entire franchise. So good for him.
yep. I mean, for the Bulls, it's like, do you restart? You have a point guard who's got a horrible foot injury that you have a lot of money locked up into, and you also don't have any fucking picks.
I would love to restart. Love to restart. We need to restart. But we won't. We won't restart. I mean, that's not the way. That's not the way Jerry Reinsdorf wants to do it. Because if we have a team that can have the possibility to make the playoffs, more people come to buy tickets and watch the games. So you and I are just going to be, you and I and the rest of Bulls fans are going to be watching the same team chuck up shots that they can't hit because we have no shooting, guard guys that they can't guard because we have a 6'4" guy guarding a 6'8" guy.
We have one guy over
Watching
6'8"
our number
starting the
4
game.
pick from 3 years ago come and play 20 minutes a game instead of 35.
Could you imagine the second tallest guy on your team being 6'7" DeMar DeRozan, who's probably statistically a top 10 worst defender in the league? He's horrible. He's the second tallest guy
These are
on.
great questions. These are great questions that I have plenty of answers to, but it doesn't matter what I have the answers to because I don't control the fucking Bulls front office. You and I have talked about countless scenarios and decisions the Bulls can make and changes we can make and moves that are possible, very possible to make.
Who are these people that are getting paid all this money to look at this team and be like, let's make the fans wait another year and a half before we even try and start competing again.
No.
And like it's not even for a rebuild reason. We wouldn't be doing that for a rebuild. We would just be doing that to wait for our point guard. We're just waiting for our point guard.
I mean, they must be reading the wrong stats or different articles than you and I do, because last time I checked, no one's returned from the injury that Alonzo has. And when they did, it's because and when they did, they stopped after 20 games because they were fearful for their walking career.
Like we've already been through all this with Derrick Rose, and it fucking sucks. And waiting for him fucking sucked. And when he came back and he wasn't as good, fucking sucked.
But even then, like the team, we made changes to the team around.
Yeah.
We went out and got Pau Gasol. And when we did realize that Derrick Rose was going to be out that long, guess who we developed? Jimmy Butler. Guess what Jimmy Butler's doing right now?
Killer.
I mean, because back in those days with Tom Thibodeau knew how to get the most out of his players. Discredit Tom Thibodeau all you want and yell at him and not like him for his decision making and how much he plays his starters and all that. But he knew how to develop guys and get the most out of them. Look at Jalen Brunson this year. Look at Derrick Rose before he got injured. Look at Jimmy Butler. Pau Gasol came back to Chicago and rejuvenated his career. Joakim Noah, Luol Deng. I mean, the list goes on. So back then, the Bulls team actually cared and had an identity. Now we're just the team that plays soft, play down to our competition, can't win games, and don't want to make changes. So, I mean, we could talk about this for another hour, but I mean, let's end it there before we talk about it for another hour. Is there anything else that we've missed going on in the league right now?
No. I have Denver winning for sure, and I still have Boston winning, and give me Denver to win the chip.
I still have Boston winning too, just because I think not picking Boston's the wrong move, but I would not be shocked if Miami. But it's like one of those things where if Miami wins, I'm not going to be shocked.
Oh! One thing we didn't cover: LeBron James is slowing down. That foot thing.
26 minutes ago.
Legit. What?
Listen to this. That is legit. Before we, 1 second. There is speculation the Chicago Bulls are done with the big three of Levine, DeMar, and Vooch via Sam Smith. 25 minutes.
Get them the fuck out. Get them out. Get them the fuck out. There could be significant changes for the Bulls this summer. Yes. Fire whoever just said that shit. Fire whoever said keep Lonzo. I mean, keep the team together. Fire the fuck out of them. They're idiots. They don't know anything about it.
All right. Well, that kind of
About
contradicts
the
everything we just said, but everything we just said is right, clearly, because this is the right move to make. This is the
hopefully,
right
yeah,
move to
hopefully you
make.
stay to
This is
watch
what
till
we
the
should
end.
do. I'm happy that this finally came out. We'll see if the Bulls make any actual moves, and we'll talk about that on another episode. However, back to your LeBron point, yes, LaFraud is slowing down. He is not the same fucking player. His injuries clearly have started to affect him. He's 38 years old, and the motherfucker can't shoot a three to save his motherfucking life. He does not know how to shoot the ball. He is not dominant, and he doesn't control the game like he used to. And because of that, in this series, he is not going to win it because he has to be the dominant LeBron to win, and he can't. He just
I'm
can't.
so happy.
Fans are waiting, but he can't. LeBron, you put me through 12 years of misery, but you're finally slowing down.
Yeah, I
If
wasn't
you
talking
win
about
this
that. I was
series
talking
against the
about the
Nuggets
Bulls.
now, after I say this, I'm going to be pissed and I'm going to be proven wrong.
Yeah,
But
you're right. Father Time somehow caught this man.
by the time I had to injure this man,
Greatest basketball player I've ever seen.
I mean, they had to
Ever
injure the
seen
man
play.
4 different times in the same foot and ankle area, but it finally took.
He
And
finally got him. They finally fucking hit him.
he's still
I
better
just
he's let's be honest,
shout out Yammer.
he's still better than 95% of the NBA, but maybe 90 like 8% of it, but he is still slowing down.
Yeah. Yeah, he's still really good. Still the second smartest basketball player on the court every night. I give that crown to Nicola now. No, but for
I'll
real,
tell
his
Draymond
three-point shot
Green.
has never been good. And because of this foot thing, he just can't pound down the lane like he could every time and draw multiple guys so he could dish to a wide open fucking shooter in the corner. He can't do that anymore. So now he's like, all right, I'm gonna sit back here and I'm gonna chuck this mid-range fadeaway, or I'm gonna chuck this three up. And
And
he's never been good at that. He's
when he's
always
hot, he
been
still scores
below
40.
average at that. What?
When he's hot, he'll still score 40
Yeah,
points.
he'll get super streaky, and everyone will be like, "The king is back. Look at his game. It's so good." And it's like, no, dude, he just made like
Dude,
three threes in a row. He got a little
he just got
hot.
him in
Like
the heat.
everyone does that.
Yeah.
He has the ultimate green light. He can shoot whenever he wants, wherever he wants, and he usually takes great shots. But I'm not saying he doesn't. Um, but when he gets hot, like he'll just keep going. He'll just keep going.
All right. We're
But
gonna end it.
the foot is the problem.
Oh, for sure.
I don't think I don't think he can keep up with Aaron Gordon and all those big bodies down in the lane all the time anymore.
No. And I guess we'll end it there on a positive note that the King is finally, or LaFraud and LaMickey are finally slowing down. A Disney and A
And
Inconsistent.
the Bulls are going to make changes.
Yeah. Anthony Davis, by the way, you can't put together 2 great games in a row. I don't know what the fuck is wrong with you. But you're better than Joel Embiid because you didn't choke a series in game 6 and 7. Thank you guys for tuning in, and we'll catch you guys next time.